What if one of the biggest AI coding success stories of the week turns out to be a lot less finished and a lot more expensive than the headline suggested? Welcome to the Automated Daily Hacker News Edition, the podcast created by generative AI. I'm Trend Teller, and today is July 27th, 2026. On this episode, a reality check on AI productivity claims, a live service issue hitting Claude users, a deeper question about whether AI consciousness would live in hardware rather than software, and a couple of fascinating detours into instrument history and evolutionary biology. This episode is brought to you by Gamma. Gamma lets you effortlessly use AI to design for presentations, websites, and more. Find the link in the episode notes. We start with that AI reality check. A new critique takes aim at the popular story around Bun's Rust rewrite, which some people held up as proof that AI can rapidly replace open source maintainers. The pushback is simple. The project may have been presented as done before it was actually done. According to the review, there was still no release tag weeks later. A backlog of AI-generated pull requests remained open, and signs of ongoing work kept showing up in CI and contributor activity. The broader point matters more than the Bun specifics. In AI, impressive demo narratives can harden into conventional wisdom very quickly, especially when they line up with investor excitement. This piece is a reminder to separate a flashy claim from the real cost in time, human oversight, and cleanup. Staying with AI, Anthropic reported elevated errors affecting Claude Opus 5 earlier today. The issue appears to have reached across the consumer side and the developer side at once, including claude.ai, the Claude API, Claude Code, and Claude Cowork. There still wasn't a public root cause in the incident note, but the significance is obvious. When a major model goes wobbly, it's not just chat sessions that break. Internal tools, coding workflows, and production systems tied to the API can all feel it at the same time. It's a useful reminder that as companies build more around foundation models, reliability becomes just as important as raw model quality. There's also a more philosophical AI discussion making the rounds, but it has a practical edge. One essay argues that if digital computers are conscious at all, that consciousness would belong to the hardware level, not to software in the abstract. In plain English, the claim is that running a program may not be enough to explain experience. The physical system doing the running may matter much more. Why does that matter outside philosophy? Because the real future question may not be whether AI is conscious in some vague sense, but whether we could ever trust an artificial system to accurately report its own welfare. If advanced systems can suffer, even in ways we don't yet understand, then AI safety stops being only about alignment and starts becoming an issue of moral status too. Away from AI, there was a very Hacker News kind of historical deep dive on the 12-string guitar. The article argues that the American 12-string probably didn't appear all at once as a finished idea. Instead, it seems to have evolved from a 10-string instrument patented in the 1890s, with other makers gradually doubling more courses and refining the concept. Why is that interesting? Because it turns a familiar instrument into a case study in incremental invention. Patents, trade magazines, and small manufacturing experiments all seem to have played a role. It's a good reminder that technologies people later treat as iconic often emerge through messy, overlapping iterations rather than a single breakthrough moment. And finally, a lighter science story with a surprisingly deep timeline. Magnolias are pollinated mainly by beetles, not bees, because magnolias are older than bees. These flowers evolved more than 100 million years ago, and many of their traits still reflect that ancient partnership: sturdy petals, strong scent, and a shape that works for clumsier visitors. What makes this worth pausing on is perspective. A spring flower in a modern garden can still carry design choices from a prehistoric ecosystem. It's one of those elegant examples of evolution leaving long-lived clues in plain sight. Thanks to our sponsor, 11 Labs. 11 Labs lets you discover the future of AI audio with cutting-edge voice technology. Find the link in the episode notes. That's it for today's edition. If you enjoyed the mix of AI reality checks, infrastructure news, and a couple of smart side trips into history and science, come back tomorrow. Links to all the stories we covered can be found in the episode notes.